16-year-old Kiely Rodni was at a party with a large group of teenagers at the Prosser Family Campground in Truckee, California on Saturday, August 6th. Kiely was there celebrating the end of school and getting ready for the next adventure in her young life. Kiely's mom received a text from her daughter saying she would be leaving the party in about 45 minutes. Kiely never made it home. The sheriff and hundreds of volunteers began searching for her. The sheriff announced it was a possible abduction case as Kiely and her silver Honda CR-V were both missing. While the searches by the sheriff did not uncover what happened to Kiely, a new group of volunteer divers stepped in, Adventures with a Purpose, a group which specializes in solving cases just like this. And today, Kiely was found. And tonight, we will speak live with the heroes who found her. I'm Vinnie Politan. Thank you so much for joining us tonight here on Closing Arguments. We have a big hour coming up here. I want to start, though, talking about something that we talk about all the time here on Closing Arguments, which is missing children. And the numbers are absolutely staggering when you talk about the number of children missing. I mean, over 300,000 a year are reported missing. 300,000. Get your mind around that for just a little bit. That's why at the end of every show, we profile a missing child and ask for your help. It is way too many, but it's the reality of what happens. Now, don't think of it as just a number now, all right? Because many of us are parents. Some of us are grandparents now too. Think about that number and then think about, okay, that child is missing, and that means there's loved ones, family members, moms and dads, brothers and sisters, aunts, uncles, grandmas, grandpas. But think about it through the eyes of moms having a child missing. Absolute worst nightmare. I mean, the child that you carried for those 9 months, the child that you raised for however many years it was, and you're looking at a mom here who raised a child for 16 years. And then that girl went missing. Her name is Kiely. Kiely Rodni, missing since August 6th. And her mom spoke out and tried to do what she could do. She didn't know what happened. She didn't know why Kiely was gone or where she was or what was happening to her. Did she need help? Am I ever going to see her again? All those questions. And think about how many cases we have profiled here on Closing Arguments through the years where I've spoken with a mom and mom didn't have an answer. And it is absolute torture for them when they don't have the answer. Where's my girl? Where's my little girl? What happened to her? Tonight, it's incredibly sad, but mom has an answer. It's not the answer that she wanted. It's not the answer, but she does have an answer. And I want you to keep that in the back of your mind because of what the alternative is, which is not knowing, never knowing what happened. Where is my child? Well, Kiely's mom does have that answer tonight. And I want to bring in Court TV legal correspondent Chanley Painter, who is joining me now here in studio. Chanley, this is the disappearance of Kiely Rodni. Had a lot of people baffled. There were a lot of people at this party, etc. And we were wondering, are we going to find out? And what did we find out today?
Well, we found out finally from the authorities, the multi-agency force that searched for weeks for her, confirming today in a press conference that the authorities have recovered the vehicle, her vehicle she was driving, and the body. Let's take a listen to the sheriff of Nevada County.
We recovered the vehicle last night. We have located a decedent inside the vehicle. We believe it is our missing person. We have not been able to positively identify, but it's more than likely where we are today.
This press conference earlier today lasted about 20 minutes, and here's some of the big takeaways of what we were able to learn. We learned that they have not ruled out foul play or that it was an accident, that there is a fatality traffic collision investigation active and ongoing right now, and has been. One body was found inside this SUV. The autopsy is tomorrow. Toxicology will be conducted. That could take 6 to 8 weeks. And we also learned that the complete investigation, of course, could take a while. And also, at this presser, the family of Kiely Rodni were there. They didn't take any questions from the media, and they were quickly led away once this press conference concluded. You can kind of see them going out the back door there, but they were there showing a presence. Many reporter questions were not directly answered, as you can imagine. Vinnie, at a press conference with the still an ongoing investigation type of answer from the authorities. But we do know the car was found in a location close to where this party was, but they wouldn't specify how close. They don't have any information if another car happened to be involved at all. And they were tight-lipped on what they found inside the car, if anything, during this press conference.
And Kiely's car was found in the water. Now,
right.
She was at this party, right? We're near Lake Tahoe. There's lots of bodies of water everywhere. It was in a campsite associated with a reservoir. So it wasn't far away from where she was that night.
Not far at all. They said it was actually quite close. They didn't give an exact distance to it, but this was an area where law enforcement had extensively searched already before the group, the specialty search and rescue heroes that came in, Adventurers with Purpose, came in, and it didn't take them long to find her in an area that had already been searched by law enforcement. So today, law enforcement expressed gratitude to Adventures with Purpose group and their efforts in finding her. But as you can imagine, the captains were peppered with questions as to how did you guys miss this?
Right.
And these experts find it so fast. Let's take a listen to the captain for the Nevada County Sheriff's Office.
How did we not find it when we were searching? The lake was extensively searched with side sonar, with an ROV. We had divers, we had swimmers. I think that's part of what we're gonna have to go back to do and debrief. You know, when peace officers are out in the field and volunteers and searchers, it doesn't mean that they're experts in the field, right? These are sometimes ancillary duties that we're calling from other agencies to try to jump in. And tracking underwater is an extremely difficult thing to do. So I think part of our debrief on any of these situations is how do we figure out to improve our services, work on our resources and the way that we use them. A lot of this equipment is high-end, very expensive, and you really need to have a lot of practice and expertise. And I think that's where a group like Adventures with Purpose is able to focus and practice those skills and really hone them. And so we're appreciative that they were able to come out and locate it.
And Vinnie, I know you have those two rescuers on with you right after this. I'm not going to go into too many details. You can ask them personally what they did and how they did it. But what I was so impressed with, they say they arrived at that scene at like 10:40 a.m. and then they found that SUV by 11:15, lightning fast, with their technology and their expertise and researchers. And that's what the police were basically saying. That's their full-time job. That's what they do. We're thankful that they were a part of this. And they have some really cool video on their YouTube page of behind the scenes.
Absolutely. And, you know, it's not to criticize the law enforcement here tonight, but it's, you have to be open. You have to be open to getting help from people who can give you that kind of help. So I'm glad that they understand that. And maybe other agencies will be more open to that, because many times there can be some friction when you have private organizations that come through and are just really good at what they do. Kiely, Painter, thank you so much. As you mentioned, let's bring him in. Joining us now in Truckee, California, two special guests, lead divers who found Kiely Rodni and hosts of Adventures with Purpose. It's on YouTube. If you haven't seen it, you need to see it, folks. It's absolutely amazing, the work that Doug Bishop and Nick Wren are doing, and they are with us tonight. Guys, thanks so much for joining us tonight. And first of all, let me say, thank you for the work that you do and the work that you did in this case. How you feeling tonight?
We're doing okay. You know, we're focusing on what it is we're able to do, the positives that there are in this, which was to provide answers for the family and law enforcement.
Yeah, and in providing those answers, you know, it's an answer that people don't necessarily want in a case that evolves this quickly. There are other cases I know you've worked on and we'll talk about where people have been looking for answers for a long time that you can provide. So tell us, first of all, how you went about this and how you were able to get that location, find the SUV so quickly.
So basically, on our day 2 of the search, we went back to ground zero and went right into Prosser Creek Reservoir. Went to the main boat ramp, launched 2 of our search boats. Doug was operating one, I was operating the other. He went one direction, I went the other to cover waterways quicker. And about 35 minutes into the search, I went over the top of something that created a large shadow, and it stood out as if it was a man-made object. So I continued to make several passes on it to verify what I was looking at, and it looked very peculiar to me, and you know, possibility that it might be a vehicle. So I called Doug on the radio and got him to come over and put a second set of eyes on it. We spent about another 15, 20 minutes over the top of it, scanning it from different angles and verifying that we both agreed that it did look like a vehicle under there. So at that point, we pulled out one of our fishing magnets and a buoy and on a line, dropped it over, and sure enough, we got a hook on the metal. And at that moment, we were both convinced that we had found a vehicle.
So when you say get eyes on it, what are you putting eyes on? Describe for us exactly what you're using here at this moment.
Yeah, so we're utilizing Garmin's cutting-edge sonar technology. It's a side scan, a down image, as well as a live scope. And between the 3 sonar imagery processes, we're able to manipulate them together and get an accurate identification on the targets we're identifying on the bottom of waterways.
So how do you know, or how did you know the area to go in? What was it based upon that, hey, we should kind of get in the water in this area? Because before you're doing this, at this point, no one knows anything, right? We don't know if she drove away, if she was abducted, if she ended up in one body of water or another area. Give me your thoughts on how you focused on this particular area.
Yeah, you know, based on confidential information, you know, we began our search at a different location and sort of judged the fact that 18 agencies and 19,000 man-hours were put into this lake. You know, we gave that a lot of credibility. So we started our first day at another location. Those waterways were ruled out. So coming into our second day of searching, we relied back on the tactics that we've developed here at Adventures with Purpose for closing cases, and that is to start at square one, her last known location. Once we identified that as what police allegedly confirmed, which was the campground, Prosser Creek Reservoir, you know, and no longer than 35 minutes into our search there is when we discovered the vehicle.
And what can you tell us about the location where you discovered the vehicle versus where she was, the campgrounds? Is there a road that goes by? Is there anything that would lead you to say, okay, yeah, this is an area that is very, very close? And I know you have some confidential information as well. I'm not asking you to reveal that. But in terms of logistically, if you're looking at a map, if you're looking at where she was, where this party was, where you found the CRV.
Sure. So basically, this particular lake has a lot of access to the shoreline that vehicles can make it to. You know, I would say 50% of the lake, you can drive vehicles right to the water's edge. So our tactic was basically, let's just search the entire perimeter of the lake. So when we split up and just went one way and one went the other, it just so happened that along my path, it was about 35 minutes into the search when I discovered the vehicle.
Tell me about that moment for you, what that's like when you know that there is a family that is so desperate for an answer and you may be very close to giving them that
Sure.
answer.
So yeah, that's a very emotional moment. And, you know, it's kind of, you're in disbelief. You don't want to see what you're seeing. You know, there's all kinds of emotions going through your head. And, you know, discovering it from the surface and not actually having a verification of is this the vehicle we're looking for, there's a lot of what ifs. So once we discovered it from the boats, we repositioned our mobile dive unit around to the shore that was pretty close to where we located it. And I put my dive gear on, got in the water, and went down at the buoy. And within 5 seconds, I was able to see that this, in fact, was the vehicle, verified the license plate. And then I did my 360 vehicle assessment and confirmed there was remains in the vehicle. And so then I came to the surface, told Doug, who was in the boat above me, what I'd seen. And right away, he called the family members of Kiely. And then right immediately following that, he called law enforcement to get them involved.
I don't know what making that phone call is like. I don't know how you prepare for it, but I know it's not the first time that Adventures with Purpose, Nick and Doug and everyone there has had to do that. So what was that moment like, and how do you break that news? How do you give that answer to a mom?
You know, like you touched on prior, you know, we specialize in cold cases, you know, and we're working cases and solving them that are, you know, 20, 30 years old in some instances. Families at that point have been through decades of torture of not knowing. So they're really, really welcoming on any answer whatsoever. You know, calling family and notifying them, you know, takes away all hope of their 16-year-old little girl ever driving back in the driveway. You know, coming into this, we did not want to find her. Obviously, if she was there underwater, you know, we did, because we want to provide those answers. And, you know, the longer the evidence is underwater, you know, the worse that becomes. I can tell you that within minutes of my phone call, Grandpa and Father were there on scene with us. Extremely grateful, but also extremely frustrated as well. A lot of emotions, a lot of very, very extremely strong emotions. This is a big ongoing investigation. There's still a lot of answers still out there, a lot of questions to be answered. And the FBI, the Nevada County Sheriff's Office, and the Placer County Sheriff's Office now have one of the biggest missing clues to their investigations, and should be. I fully expect a lot of very heavy stuff to come from this.
Absolutely. Wow, this is a lot to work through. A lot of emotions. Let's do this. Can you guys can stay with us. I want you to stay with us because I have more questions I want to ask you. I also want to understand, and I want the folks at home to understand the name Adventures with Purpose, some of the other work that you have done, and how they can help you as well. So Doug and Nick from Adventures with Purpose still with us. As we go to break, we're going to keep them with us, but also, folks, coming up next hour on the show. In Santa Fe County, New Mexico, big news in the shooting death of cinematographer Helena Hutchins by actor Alec Baldwin. Baldwin has said publicly, investigators have said he will not be charged for killing Helena. Tonight, we take a look at other accidental shootings where the shooter has been charged and compare it to Baldwin's actions.
We've known in the department since January that Alec would not be charged with a crime.
Emily Noble is reported missing a day after celebrating her 52nd birthday.
Her body was staged to appear as though it was a suicide. That was absolutely not the case.
Emily's husband was arrested. 2 different counts of murder.
The question is, was she murdered or was it suicide?
This was clearly a homicide based on the injuries that were sustained.
Our cameras taking you inside the courtroom as this dramatic case unfolds.
The staged suicide murder trial. Live coverage weekdays at 9/8 Central on Court.
Against everything.
Last night, we did receive some information of the recovery of the vehicle that we've been searching for, and it was located inside the Prosser Lake. It was located within a search zone that we have been searching since the very beginning of our operation. We are very fortunate that we had the assistance of a volunteer group, the Adventures with Purpose, that came out with some very specific expertise and were able to help us in locating the vehicle that we had been searching for several weeks.
Amazing. That's all I can say. Amazing. I mean, they're searching for weeks. It's within the zone. And pretty quickly, Adventures with Purpose is able to not just help, but come on, locate the vehicle and then locate Kiely Rodni, who everyone's been searching for since the beginning of the month. Let's bring him in. They're still with us, Doug Bishop and Nick Rinn with Adventures with Purpose. Okay, let's start. Everyone at home is wondering, Adventures with Purpose, if they're not familiar, YouTube channel is absolutely amazing. Go on there, folks, and you can see all the work that they've been doing. But tell us the name. What's the significance of the name, and how are you able to do what you do, whether it's finance all of this and be able to continue to help families get answers?
You know, Adventures with Purpose, you know, we're an underwater sonar search and recovery dive team. We specialize in missing persons cases, particularly those involving a vehicle. We travel the nation investigating those cases, assisting families and law enforcement completely free of charge. And we're able to do that through the community support, you know, through the community's donations, the use, you know, the support of our multiple social media platforms, our YouTube channel in particular. You know, subscribing is free. You know, it's a half of a cent to watch what we do. And, you know, our supporters put us in this position. So 100% community driven all the way. You know, we are a vessel of the community, and it's very humbling to be able to use social media platforms to be able to produce the results that we're producing, and on a shoestring budget. It's hard. It's extremely expensive to do what we do, to travel across the nation all year long. But through the community support, you know, we're able to get by, and we're able to do that for the community.
And what I say is, I do so many stories about social media gone bad. This is how social media can do good. All right, let's talk about one of the cases, Samantha Hopper and her 2 children. Tell us about that case that you guys were able to solve.
Yeah, so Samantha Hopper was missing for 23 years in Russellville, Arkansas. You know, our team came in, we produced an episode. We were unsuccessful. Our supporters watched that episode. We then fielded information from the family because of that. We came back to town, you know, did another search, and we were able to successfully find her vehicle right there within miles of her last known location. You know, she was underwater, her and her 2 babies, for 23 years. And in less than an hour, we discovered her vehicle underwater. You know, as you mentioned before, you know, it's not a knock on law enforcement for us whatsoever. You know, we provide an extremely rare resource, and law enforcement agencies all across the nation understand that, and they're welcoming us with open arms. Sonar is not something that's taught. It's something that you have and know how to use it, or have and think you know how to use it. There aren't national standards for sonar technology, so that's what leads to a lot of our success, as well as lack of red tape as well. You know, Samantha Hopper and her 2 babies, we were able to bring them home. And along with the assistance of Jacob and Lindsay with Chaos Divers, they were a team assisting us that day. And, you know, her family was extremely grateful. Her daughter grew up not knowing why her mom left. And she now knows it was nothing more than just an accident. And in cases like that, you know, to live 23 years never knowing what happened to your mom, that's torture. That's torture. And, you know, just to see the pain slowly heal because she had those answers is pretty powerful. And that's why we do what we do.
Absolutely. And you know, people might look at this, oh, you're recovering a car. No, you are filling in a huge blank in people's lives, and providing an opportunity to say, okay, oh, this is what happened, and they can finally have an answer, put things in perspective, and grieve properly, maybe lay someone to rest. All of that is so significant for these families, and it gets lost. It absolutely gets lost too often in our system. One more case, James Amabile.
Yeah, James Amabile. James Amabile, we discovered his vehicle right outside of Philadelphia in Ridley Township after his vehicle was underwater for 19 years. Nothing but an accident. That was a really, really tragic story. Beautiful family missing their brother, 2 daughters missing their father, a wife missing her husband, and the entire time he was just 2 miles away. He disappeared on his way to pick up his daughters from a babysitter. He made a phone call to his babysitter and said he'd be there in 5 minutes, and that was the last that was ever heard from James. We retraced his steps. We ruled out a few creeks along his route, and then we went to the Darby Creek area, which was within minutes of the babysitter's house, where we discovered that they actually had built a marina on top of him and drilled a pylon through his car. That was a very, very, discovering his vehicle and knowing that they built a marina and drilled a pylon through his vehicle was very, very mind jarring. It was shocking.
Tell me about when you're, I mean, some of this water has got to be pretty murky. How difficult is it? And you're talking about cars and things that are down there for decades.
Yeah, so most of the diving that we're used to is actually very low to no visibility whatsoever. So you get used to it by the more times you do it. Lots of training, and a lot of times you just got to go by feel to see what's going on down there, and it's different. A lot of people that are scuba divers think of it as going to Hawaii or the tropics, and you got this 100 foot of visibility. This is a completely different ball game. This is very, I'm not going to use the word dangerous, but it's treacherous. You got to know what you're doing. You got to take your time, do everything slow and methodical. Make sure you don't get tangled up. Try not to silt up the bottom, to make the visibility even worse. So yeah, it's tough.
Well, I appreciate you guys coming on tonight. I know it's been an extremely busy day, and you're probably going to get on the road and go somewhere else and solve another case, because I've been following you guys. It's amazing work. And again, I implore you, everyone at home, if you can, check them out on YouTube, support however you can, because the more support they get, the more cases get closed, and the more families get answers. And I think that's what all of us want. So thank you so much, guys. Really appreciate it.